This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
Welcome to part 2 of my Joe Rogan special, Christian Fandom Geek versus Joe Rogan. So in part 1 I was talking about a more sympathetic interpretation and argument for Joe Rogan based on the situation. In this part, which is part 2, I'm going to be more critical against Joe Rogan. Okay, so firstly I would say this: Joe shouldn't be using the N-word really under any circumstances. It's not a word for him to use, which obviously he's acknowledged. But I will say this: if he was doing an episode and it was all about the N-word, critiquing the N-word, talking about why the N-word is used, and giving an argument against certain folks using the N-word, I think that would be more acceptable. If those clips, if most of those clips have almost come from one episode because that episode was about the N-word, that would be probably more understandable. But I think it seems to have come from multiple episodes, so he's used it quite a lot over the years, even though he may not have used it recently. But for me, the issue that's more emotive to my heart was the story where he talks about him going to the cinema and watching Planet of the Apes. Or so he says. He talks about being under the influence of drugs, going to a black ape neighborhood, talking about, oh, it's Africa in here, and then says, oh, it's like Planet of the Apes. And if you and Joe Rogan himself even says, man, that looks terrible on video. Like, even I'm thinking, oh my gosh, did I say that? And he said that it's out of context to what he meant, and he was high on drugs. So first and foremost, this is a polemic against taking drugs and then talking about it on a podcast show afterwards. Yeah, big mistake. Don't do things like that, boys and girls. But the other issue is this: it's really hurtful hearing him, even the connotations of him talking about it's like Africa here, it's like Planet of the Apes. Like, dude, really? Really? Are we saying things like that? I don't think so. To me, that is totally unacceptable. It's just bizarre, it's ignorant, it's strange. Don't do it. Don't say it. It ain't worth it. And so for me, that was hurtful. Like that Joe Rogan, even the connotation of saying that in the context it's coming across, it just ain't right. It's not right, and that needs to be said. Don't be talking about going to a black neighborhood. Don't talk about Planet of the Apes. Don't talk about it's like Africa here. Okay, just don't talk about that, dude. It obviously wasn't Africa. It's a black neighborhood, and you know what? There's a lot of issues in the USA to do with race anyway. So rather than being part of the problem, be part of the solution. In that respect, I would be very much against Joe Rogan on that. And also, he does say in there that it was a bit of a misinterpretation. He just kind of meant he went to watch Planet of the Apes in a black neighborhood while he was high on drugs. If I'm being honest, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy that story at all. And of course, he has to say that, because can he really admit that he went there to a black neighborhood and he goes, it's like Africa, it's like Planet of the Apes? Could he really put his hand up and say, yeah, I did say that, guys, you caught me out fair and square? Man, I don't think he, even if he wanted to be really honest about things, I just don't think he could say that. I think he would just be roasted. So I just think he's probably, put it this way, I weren't convinced by his explanation on that at all. I weren't. I mean, and it could be true, but I don't think so. So, on that respect, what do you say to that, guys? What do you say? Overall, I'm about forgiveness, but I also am about being real and having integrity and having honesty. At the end of the day, Joe Rogan's been out of order. Yeah, he's been out of order, but also I know that others have tried to catch him out. So, for me, I'm trying to use wisdom on this, and I'm saying we all need to just really reflect on and have a life lesson on this. I don't really necessarily say he should be deplatformed, no, but certainly he needs to change his ways. And guys, if we're supporting him, we need to know why we're supporting him, and we need to be very careful about how we're expressing that support. But also, if we're critiquing him or against him, we need to be very careful about not being unforgiving and being zero grace, because, you know, at the end of the day, we all need forgiveness, we all need grace in this world. And so we need to use a bit of wisdom. Whatever path you're going to choose or opinion you have on this Joe Rogan situation, the Nword controversy, we need to be very wise and we need to be very careful. We also, though, do not want to live in a spirit of fear. So we want to be very confident and very and have some conviction and strength to our views. We're not living in a spirit of fear. God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. We're not. Let us move forward. Let us all learn from this situation. Let's all learn from this. And let us. The one thing about this is that we need to show each other some love, but also we need to maintain integrity. When you're having a YouTube channel or a podcast show, you have influence on others, and so just really remember that there is a high level of accountability. When you put your voice out there for the public domain, in the public square, there is a high level of accountability. So just use wisdom in whatever you say and do. And if you're a religious person, just imagine saying this. If you were saying this to your minister or pastor at church, just think about that. Whatever you're saying on your show, be happy that if your pastor or minister is going to listen to that, they're also going to be happy with what you're saying. Think about that sort of accountability. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, which is an emotional one. It's not a fun episode that I would love to make. It is emotional, but I hope you've enjoyed and got something out of this episode. Much love to you, the fandom and the community.
Because it's a word where only one group of people is allowed to use it, and they can use it in so many different ways. Like if a white person says that word, it's racist and toxic, but a black person can use it and it could be a punchline, it could be a term of endearment, it could be lyrics to a rap song, it could be a positive affirmation. It's a very unusual word, but it's not my word to use.
Joe goes on to say on his video that this moment for him is a teachable moment. And I think I agree with Joe on that. I'm certainly not going to avoid his show. I'm not supporting what he has said and done, but I'm certainly not turning my back on him entirely. If there are episodes of this show that I'm enjoying or I'm liking the subject on there, I will watch them. I'm not supporting that Joe Rogan is deplatformed, but I am supporting that this needs to be a teachable moment for him. And certainly I would say this: he's used his grace now on this situation. So not from a Christian point of view, no, there's loads of grace for Joe Rogan, as for all of us. But from a kind of public figure vantage point, I think, like, you know, he needs to be, you know, really without reproach now from now on. And certainly I can understand if there are black people and people of color who like myself, really offended by what was said and turned their back on Joe Rogan. I totally understand that, and I wouldn't be speaking against that, because it is a situation where that could be warranted and justified. But certainly the emphasis that I would want to bring that this is a teachable moment. There's a lot to learn here, boys and girls, men and women across the world, and on the Red 5 and Fandom Collective networks. There's a lot to learn here. And let us learn, let us use wisdom, let us learn from Joe Rogan's mistake on this one, and let us be better people because of it. This is the Lord Be With You podcast show, also known as Christian Fandom Geek on YouTube. The best stories of our age from a Christian point of view. Have a great day, and I hope you are keeping safe and well in the times that we are living in. God bless you.